for a little Warner Brothers musical titled Melody for Two, which was promoting singer James Melton, who had started out with a very successful career as a pop singer, but tenor voices like his and Dick Powell's were not so well suited. As the swing era advanced, Melton would turn to opera, and he enjoyed an 8-year career with the Metropolitan Opera. Dick Powell, of course, went to film noir, ultimately. So it was Melton who introduced our opening song, written by Dubin and Warren, and we have at last circled back to its title. It was September in the Rain, presented by Artie Shaw, recording for Thesaurus Transcriptions with the wonderful Peg Lacentra. And before that, if not raising the roof, at least spreading the ridge vent just a bit, cornetist Muggsy Spanier and his Ragtimers, including Ernie Caceres on baritone, Pee Wee Russell on clarinet, Dick Carey was at the piano, Sid Weiss on bass, and drummer Joe Grauso, recording for the Commodore record label late April 1944. And for those listening live whose windows do not look out upon parts of Washington, D.C. or nearby Maryland and Virginia, September in the Rain describes much of the last 12 hours or more and a few hours to come. Because we are in the midst of the effects of tropical storm Ophelia, and the Russell storm is advancing upon us during this hour with gusty winds and a few inches of rain yet to arrive. Perhaps of additional significance is that today is the first when any of us here had to reach for a jacket, because it is breezy, temperatures in the very low 60s, and the rain does lash a bit. We'll keep you apprised of any major developments, weather-wise, otherwise, if the rain and specter of high winds has kept you anchored inside. My performance management goal this evening, in case Doug Bell is listening, is to keep you entertained, enthralled if I can. But I'm not sure the morning bowl of Wheaties was deep enough for that. And so it's time for me to introduce myself in case you've stumbled in. My name's Rob Bamberger. The program is Hot Jazz Saturday Night. And this evening, we have a number of things to share with you by request. Transcriptions recorded by violinist Eddie South in 1933 on behalf of Colony Cream. You know, made from an ingredient extracted from the glands of the Colony tortoise, who lives to be 300 years old despite this exploitation. We'll also hear some record dates made for the Black and White label. Oh, back to transcriptions, a few obscure recordings by the Boswell sisters. And turning now to our opening set, an encore from the Commodore label featuring Wilbur and Sidney to Paris. They'll be playing Black and Blue, that too from 1944, a little earlier in the year. A collaboration between pianist Eddie Haywood and the Andrews sisters from late July of 1946, the Jivesy House of Blue Lights. We hear from a vaudeville blues singer about which little is known. It's believed that Luella Miller hailed from St. Louis, and you'll hear her moan on a record titled Rattlesnake Groan from late January of 1927, distinguished by the violin, not the guitar, but the instrument on which he doubled on a number of records, Lonnie Johnson playing violin. And we'll also hear from U.B. Blake and his Theater Pit Orchestra of June 1931 with Little Girl. And we begin with a title recorded out in Oakland by a West Coast-based band, Henry Halstead and his orchestra, a very good, tight dance orchestra that, as Brian Rust wrote, Brian Rust wrote, showed glimpses of having some real jazz talent. And so we'll hear them play Panama.